Hello there and welcome to another Döhle Yacht Coffee Break. My name is Ben Geary, I'm the Fleet Statutory Manager, and today I'm joined by Mark Broster, who is the MD of Ecdis. What we wanted to talk to you today about is the benefits of Ecdis. So my first question's got to be, Mark, is it really true that there are up to 30 to 40 manufacturers of Ecdis on the market?
So 2009, 42 manufacturers on the market.
Wow.
They haven't all made it.
Right, okay.
Some have not been competitive. Some have lost market share. Some have taken over. It's probably around the 32 manufacturer mark now.
Okay.
However, there are new ones coming online all the time. So new Ecdis is coming out. Just last month, a brand new one came out. A different manufacturer. Are they all the same?
Yeah.
No, they're not. Vastly different. Vastly different. There is only a minimum performance standard for what an Ecdis can do, no maximum. So they all conform to the minimum performance standard, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't be type approved as equipment. What they actually do though varies, not only in capabilities, menus and structure, but dramatically in price, support packages, etc., and performance dramatically varies as well. Which Ecdis is the best?
That was going to be my next question. I wasn't going to put you on the spot though.
Without trying to get out of the answer, it depends on what you want it to do.
Yeah, okay.
So if you want to do berth-to-berth planning, if you spend a lot of your time going into narrow harbours and going into sort of confined waters, half the market's probably no good to you because it's advanced and transfer, its ability to put accurate passage planning, berth to berth, tight turns, etc., it's just not capable of doing it. Or you've got to fudge it, or you've got to find a workaround with the system. Whereas perhaps the other half of the manufacturers can do that with relative ease. In fact, some of the manufacturers have your exact ship's advance and transfer, and it will put in the predicted turn at 15 knots for a 45-degree turn or whatever it is. If you do a lot of great circle work, again, there's a handful of manufacturers that really specialise in this and coming up with the most fuel-efficient, optimised, composite great circle, whereas you've got a series that just can't simply do it.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Relies on some old-school eyeball and fudging and trying to do the best you can. If you've got a very robust set of procedures and a very enthusiastic team for Ecdis, then there are manufacturers out there that give you a wonderful amount of options, some superb options that you can manipulate the system and change how it looks, and some wonderful features. But it does rely on that more robust set of procedures, at least 10 minutes officer watch handover, as opposed to just a coffee and a scratch of a head sort of thing. If you're looking for a simpler system, less that can go wrong in, they're available on the market too. So when you sort of look at these different manufacturers, the first question is always going to be, what do you need the kit to do? If you're running a helicopter on your ship, wouldn't it be wonderful to have an Ecdis that can do the shoals for you and give you all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, okay.
They can't all do the same. So you're looking for a robust set of 30 to 40 questions before choosing a manufacturer of what you actually want it to do.
Okay, so my next question was, obviously with the amount of Ecdis on there, in your experience in it, how have you seen the transition from paper to Ecdis? And, has it made ships safer?
Well, the transition, dealing with the transition from paper to Ecdis, there was a sort of a weight of resistance to start with, which you have to understand is, suddenly replacing a piece of equipment you're used to, a certain brand of phone, with another brand after you've been using that one for 15 years, is going to be quite hard. Yeah. So there was a resistance to start with, and of course, then you've got the human element coming in of someone saying, "Look, I'm only at sea for another 2 years. I'm only in this job for another year. Let's do it on the next guy's watch," sort of attitude. The next person's watch, and that resistance probably lasted 15 years and is still happening now to some degree, although most people have now made the decision to just go full Ecdis. But the transition wasn't easy.
Yeah, okay.
I think you'd be kidding yourself if you said that everybody likes Ecdis. I'm not saying I like Ecdis. There's some stuff in it that's dangerous, very, very dangerous, and if it's not used properly, you're more likely to have an incident than you were on.
Right, okay.
But equally, if it's used well and properly, it's brilliant stuff. But it's mostly to do with education, mostly to do with understanding, and trying to move away from the resistance to change, which unfortunately sometimes in our industries we're quite resistant to change. So I wouldn't say the transition's been seamless or easy, and I think no one predicted it would take 25 years. Really, Ecdis really was becoming quite normal in 2000, 2004.
Yeah.
You've still got quite a large percentage of the world's tonnage using paper. We're not there yet.
Yeah,
so these things take time. You've got this concept of people learning raw navigation on a paper chart in a college around the world, and then going to sea using a different system, using Ecdis. So at what point have all the colleges caught up in the training and education? Okay. So there's this horrible period we're going through or been through of education in a certain ways of navigating, and then actually using a different piece of equipment when actually at sea, and vice versa. You've got some colleges now that don't have any paper charts; they're just educating in Ecdis, and they go to sea on a paper ship.
Yeah, okay.
So it's quite a horrible situation to be in now. So the poor crew, the first time they've ever seen a paper chart is when they go on board, and vice versa at a different college. So the transition's taken time, and it probably has been a little dangerous as well.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, we were talking about the start of this was the benefits of Ecdis, but from your experience, obviously you've said dangerous a couple of times. What are the kind of common dangers or overlooks or say mistakes people have done because they're using Ecdis?
I think the first basic error is for those ships that haven't gone to full Ecdis.
Yeah.
They're a paper ship, but Ecdis is fitted. What they tend to do is look at the screen, because it's colour, and navigate by it. But because they're not an Ecdis ship, they don't really understand it or how to set it up. They probably haven't done the training courses. So they're a paper ship, but staring at the colour screen. So straight away, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
But let's make the assumption that it isn't an Ecdis ship and they've all done the training courses and now they understand it and the paper's gone. The dangers that then come in is really, if I'm honest, laziness. And Ecdis does breed it. It's quite easy to walk onto the bridge, look down at a colour screen, it tells you your position, and then immediately just have a coffee and crack on with the watch. Of course, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be looking at it and saying, are we actually there? Is it working? Is it set up correctly? Has the previous person changed the safety settings? Have we got the right ones on in accordance with what the captain expects or what our procedures expect?
Yeah.
So, I guess we did it in the old days on paper. We were all lazy there as well every now and then. But Ecdis does make it easier, a lot easier to just look over navigation and not really understand it.
Well, you highlighted that before, I think, when we were saying, like, with the paper charts, you'd cut bits out and stick on the hazard, as it were, to the chart, and then go and knock on the door of the boss because you're going straight towards it. And I suppose that instills it because you've physically got to put it on, where, like you say, Ecdis, you can plug it in and get the chart update. So I suppose it goes back to the attention of detail of the individual.
And it's the same with every aspect of navigation. If you think about it, if you went on a paper ship and you were taking over the watch for 4 hours, you would scan your fingers over the chart, and if you saw you're going to a different chart, you'd open the drawer, take out the next one and have a little nosy around and see where you're going.
Yep.
Whereas when you take over the watch on Ecdis, if you're not careful, if you're being lazy, you look at the screen, you see the little dots saying you're on track and heading this direction. You have no idea where you're going. You don't even zoom out, you don't even look ahead, because you're not, in your mind, you're not bothered.
Yep.
You're thinking, well, we're on track and we're on time, which is obviously the aim.
Yeah.
But so you lose situational awareness quite quickly if you're not careful. And one of the pillars of Ecdis was to increase situational awareness and efficiency. But actually, by being lazy, you're reducing it down.
Yeah,
So when someone was to walk onto the bridge of an Ecdis ship, it's possible they could say, where are we? And you'd say, on track. But that's not really what you're after. How far are we from land? I have no idea. because when I'm on a compilation scale, if I don't manipulate the screen or zoom in or zoom out, if I'm just being a little bit lazy on it, I've no idea how close I am to land. There's nothing that gives me an indication.
Yeah, okay.
But I know I'm on track and on time, which again is maybe the drive of the industry, was to come up with something that's efficient, which it is, but doesn't increase situational awareness. I mean, it bodes the ultimate question, which I know we're not going to talk about today, but do you need to know where you are in the world? Or do you just need to know that you're on track and on time?
I imagine you're going to get a lot of comments on that.
Well, because that's what some would argue, that's what we're getting paid to do. However, I try to draw the analogy of driving your car. So if you're just staring at the sat nav,
yeah,
you know you're on the right motorway, and you know you're going to be home in 3.5 hours. Are you really that bothered? You just passed Birmingham or Tesco's or wherever you go.
Fair point.
So, whereas on the paper chart, the whole point of it was huge spatial awareness, because you took your time to figure around, looking at the areas and smudging it and saying, there's a rock formation over there. There's going to be some buoys here. In about 2 hours' time, I expect to see the following things. So the point is, Ecdis can do all of that, because it is a replacement for paper charts. It's all there,
yeah,
but it just needs a bit more effort to do it. And ultimately, that's where it fails. Is if people don't put the effort into it, then they treat it just like a sat nav.
Yeah, and then you're not
stitching yourself up.
You're asking for trouble. All right, well, Mark, thank you very much for your time. As always, if any of you want any of our details, please see at the end. And thank you very much for listening.